What's going on, guys? This is Frank Hatsis, and you're in rope dart school. All right, welcome to Rope Dart School, where we talk to darters who are making massive waves and a positive impact in the rope dart community. My goal with this show is for you to hear what these aspirational darters are doing and how you too can become a living rope dart legend. Okay, darters, I am so excited for our guest today, who is originally from Maryland, but has been heating up LA for the past 10 years when she moved there. Since then, she could be seen pretty much everywhere performing at festivals like Envision, Coachella, Lightning in a Bottle, and the Atlantis Bahamas Resort. That's just to name a few. She is the creator of the Fire Mingos, the sexiest all-female fire troupe I've ever seen in my life. She teaches rope dart at festivals across the nation and at meetups. And she is the one woman on the planet we can accurately call the Fire Queen. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miche Renee.
Hi, Frank. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on to Rope Dart School. I know just based on everything you've done, everything you're doing, and everything you're going to do, the amount of value that everyone is going to get hearing your insights and your experience is just going to be, it's going to blow the lid off. I'm so excited for this convo.
Me too.
So I'm going to start with our most basic question where I start everyone, and that is, what got you into rope dart?
Such a good question. So I started as a hooper. I was one of the hula hoop girlies. And just kind of slowly as I got into fire, I was like, I need more props. I need to spin some more things, kind of like a lot of flow artists. You get a little bit of prop ADD. And I had seen contact staff and rope dart, and I was like, those are cool. Like, I'm just gonna order fire props. So I ordered like a 4 petal lotus from Dark Monk and a contact staff. Came in the same box, and I don't think there's a single contact staff video of me spinning. It was like as soon as I picked up the rope dart, that thing went in the closet. I think it's still in my closet 7 years, 8 years later.
For sure. I don't think I've ever seen you spin contact staff one time, and that's okay because I'm totally a dart head. Now, you'd mentioned coming from the hooper world, and something I think I know, and also my wife Sarah will say, and I'm curious how you feel about it. We tend to think that the hoop and the rope dart are the most similar when it comes to cross propination, which is a weird word to say, pollination. Did you find that as well, going from hoop to rope dart being somewhat seamless?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like the way that it moves was a little bit more intuitive just based on having so much experience with hooping. I think at that point I had been hooping for like almost 2 years. So I had like a pretty solid baseline. And I definitely think some of like the pushing and the pulling movements with hoop definitely translate, help that go a little smoother.
Oh, absolutely. Now, when it comes to that fire staff sitting in your closet, is that something you ever plan on taking out, or is it just gonna kind of slowly die in there?
It's probably just slowly dying in there. I honestly should probably gift it to somebody who's like passionate about it. But when I think about it, I just laugh because I'm like, wow, I really ordered this at the exact same time as my rope dart, and I thought I would use it, but
Right.
yeah, the dart prevailed.
So, what is it about between the two? Because it's a really interesting thing that's happening, or that that you're saying right now. Two props arrived to Mish at the exact same time. One got all the love in the world, and the other one got the back of the closet. What is it about the rope dart that you just love so much? What is it? What is that separating factor, that X factor for you when it comes to the rope dart?
Yeah, and this is something that I tell everyone when I teach, and I think it's just the coolest thing about rope dart is I feel like rope dart makes me feel powerful in ways that like I don't always feel powerful in my day-to-day life. And there's something about like being able to like harness that power and feel it that just I feel like has helped me not just like with the rope dart journey, but in like my life journey.
For sure. I found also, just to piggyback off of that, rope dart, it's a very challenging thing to be doing. And I find that at least later in life, maybe I'm just getting old and maturing, I don't know, but things that should bother me don't And
Hmm.
I could always just bring it back to some type of a challenge I had with a rope dart, whether it was even just getting on a plane to go compete, and they wouldn't even let me on the plane with my metal dart, which is a story that did happen. And I just found that, it's not a simple matter of I'm in a bad mood, I'll go out and practice and I'll feel better. But it's remembering all of these experiences surrounding the rope dart that makes me feel little bit more able to deal with some of the lesser pressures of life.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it happens like unconsciously for a lot of us. So once you start realizing, like, oh, this is actually teaching and preparing me in ways that I'm not even aware of, you really get to like unlock a little bit more of the magic that comes with it.
Oh, for sure. And I transitioning from rope dart specific to the Fire Mingos, which for if you're watching, I'm sure you know who the Fire Mingos are. And if you don't, I suggest you educate yourself very quickly. Why don't you just give a quick background of the Fire Mingos so that anyone who doesn't know who you are, which again is probably impossible, will have a better understanding?
Yeah, so the Fire Mingos is my fire troupe. It's an all-women fire troupe based in Los Angeles. I feel like the way it came about, it was just kind of like the perfect, situation. We started kind of in COVID when there wasn't a lot of like things happening, but it allowed us to kind of create a small pod where we could come together and spin fire and create art. If you watch our first video from 2020, like we're all wearing masks, and that was really kind of the catalyst. And even moving through into 2021 when we did our first project called Wonder Force, originally applying for Burning Man. Obviously, Burning Man didn't happen that year, but we still kind of made this creative video showcasing all the choreography because we had put in so much work to creating this thing. And it turned out to just be like so much better than anything I ever thought that I could have had a part in creating. I'm still so proud of that video. We've done several projects since then. I feel like it's still my favorite.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I remember when that came out, the Wonder Force video came out. And just so everyone is clear, Wonder Force, it's kind of like a mix of Star Wars and Alice in Wonderland. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's a mashup of Star Wars and Alice in Wonderland. It came about because I asked the group, like, what are some themes that you guys are interested in doing this year? I'm inspired by movies. Like, what kind of movies do we want to channel? And someone popped in and immediately was like, Star Wars. And I was like, yes, let's do Star Wars. That's so cool. And then someone else popped in and was like, I have another list of ideas. And on the list was Alice in Wonderland. And I was thinking about it and I was like, oh my gosh, she has to like go down a rabbit hole into a universe far, far away. Like it just, I don't know, something about it like clicked. Um, and yeah, it was really the synthesis of those two ideas. Morgan threw out Star Wars and Leanne threw out Alice in Wonderland. And then I was like, let's just do both. And it
No.
ended up being so fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these are two things that you think would mix like oil and vinegar, but they really just did. It was just so awesome
Oh
what
my
you
gosh.
did.
Thank you.
And
It unlocked like a whole level of creativity that I didn't even know was possible. Like stormtrooper bunnies and how do we think about this and what props would this character use? Uh,
yeah, for sure. And even I think one of my favorite things, I mean, the whole thing is my favorite thing, but it's the videography where it was just one shot that moved around, and I couldn't imagine what kind of challenges arose just for getting the cues right and the angles right and making sure somebody's foot, isn't in shot in the frame before they step on. I mean, that must have taken what, hours, days, all like how long did it take to do that?
it took a lot. So we had camera rehearsals ahead of the day that we filmed. And my husband's the person that does all the filming. So it's nice because he doesn't charge us, but also because I can kind of like boss him around, and but we also get to work creatively together. Like we're kind of sitting in our apartment drinking wine, talking through all the transitions, like what will this look like? How will we do that? And then we go and we practice with the group. We watch playback. I'm like, oh, we come in too early here. Let's adjust this. But the day we filmed that project, and it was a renegade shoot, believe it or not, and we got away with it, luckily. We were there for, gosh, like 15 hours, I think, the whole, like it was
What?
a very long day. Yeah, I mean, we had to get in there like during the day, we had to get everything set up, we had to mark out camera work. Yeah, I think we left at like 2 a.m. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So, anybody listening, just so you understand the lingo, renegade means illegal, and I don't like to. No, no, that's the best. Hey, can I tell you something? The best fire jams I have are the illegal ones. I don't care. I mean, it's like there is an element of, you don't have to be crazy fringe, but there is an element of fire spinners that I think is outside the norm of regular people. And regular people's rules and laws don't really coincide with ours. So we just make it work as best as we can.
Totally. And my grandma told me this is actually a very long running concept. They called it run and gun back in the day. And I guess even in Hollywood, run and gun productions have been a thing for a really long time. So it was a run and gun or a renegade shoot. Yeah.
That is so cool. And again, it's my favorite way to do it. Um, with the getting in there, I'm assuming you didn't have to like hop over any fences or anything where that in that location because it looks like it's like like
Yeah.
Los Angeles River or something. I
It's
don't know
a
what.
yeah, it's like the giant riverbed. The most challenging thing was getting a car in there because we brought a lot of lights, we brought generators, we had like a lot of stuff. So the individual that drove the car in is like the true MVP of the production. It wasn't a fence, but they definitely had to like hop a curb and
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
And isn't it awesome? I mean, we actually have this in common. Isn't it wonderful to be married to somebody that's creative, that you could just sit in your house with a bottle of wine and just talk about some crazy project you're going to do? And to have somebody, because, Sarah and I talk about some crazy things sometimes, and it's always nice to have somebody that's supporting you immediately and also finding the flaws in what you're doing. Because I'm like a puppy in that I just respond and I go and I'm ready to do this thing. And Sarah will stop me. Wait, did you do this, and this? Well, you got to make sure that's in place. And it's kind of like the sober yin to the raging yang coming together and really creating some stuff. So it's wonderful that you and Paul can do that as well.
Yes, I feel like we have a very similar dynamic. I'm like, let's do this and that and this. And he's like, well, Mish, we gotta like think about X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So definitely helps bring the magic to the mangoes too.
Absolutely. Now, with the Fire Mingos, I know it's probably a pretty fluid amount of performers where, sometimes you have a certain amount of performers and then another amount. What is the most amount of performers at once you've had with Fire Mingos?
I think the most that we've had is 22. Yeah, so we're still like compared to some conclaves that are like 50 people, we're still like kind of on the smaller-ish side. I think that works for our group. I think once it gets really big, people get it's more likely people get disconnected from like the group as a whole. So it hasn't been super intentional keeping it around that number. It just kind of has worked out around there.
For sure. I mean, for our conclave here in New York City, Empire Fire Collective, we like to keep it under 25. Now, look, we're an inclusive conclave. You can come if we have 30, 35. But when we first started, we had, say, like up to the maximum was 50, I believe. And, including drummers and safeties and everything and performers. And I just found that honestly, it was a shit show with 50 people. It was it
Yeah.
was it was darn near impossible. Now, when I say 25, I'm talking that includes safeties, that includes our
Mhm.
radio head. That's kind of the everybody. And I like the smaller groups. I think you could do more with less when you have that amount of folks. The reason I wanted to ask you about the number of performers is because you're obviously, the leader of the Fire Mingos. And what kind of a challenge or what kind of challenges or obstacles come up when you're dealing with upwards of 20 something personalities, 20 folks that have a job they have to go to, 20, like, how does that work? How do you make sense of it? And how do you keep your head on straight?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have a lot of spreadsheets, like not something that I would think that I'm going to be using a lot, but 100% spreadsheets have helped me be really organized and helped our team be really organized. We have a Google Drive that everyone has access to, so everything, including like our music, our positions, our plans, everything's on there for people to access it so that I don't have to constantly be answering questions. They know like I can go here. So that piece has saved a lot. But I think the biggest challenge is honestly scheduling. And to be like, as we get further away from COVID, it gets harder and harder to schedule. You know, I think even the past few years have been so tough to find dates that work for everyone. So ultimately, like I send out a when is good, usually in December or January for our rehearsals for the next year. And based on availability, set them and just say, hey, these are required. Like we have to try to make it. Yeah.
Right. Well, I bet you don't use the word try. I bet you say you have to make
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I'm saying that as somebody who really respects somebody else in your position, and that is a leadership role, because what a lot of folks don't know, and this is my opinion, it doesn't have to be yours, but being a leader kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And right, I mean, it really does. Everything, when it goes right, it all goes to the team. When everything goes wrong, it comes right on your shoulders. What, if any, experience have you had with that? And again, you know, you can share as much as you want, but again, the goals of the show was for anybody out there that has any high ambitions to hear what those who not only have high ambitions but are doing stuff with those ambitions to kind of get in their head a little bit. So when you have those challenges of different personalities or leadership struggles, is there anything that you do that works, or is there a chain of command? Or
Yeah. So one thing I think is super important to me as a leader in the way that I kind of lead is about transparency. So I'm always like super transparent about things and really honest about things, not just for what they are, but like how they make me feel, right? So one of the challenges, especially within my group, is not only am I the leader of all of these amazing women, but they're also my friends. And so
right,
you can imagine that those two things together can actually be extra challenging, especially if something comes up like a scheduling mishap or a conflict or something like that. So I'll usually say something like, hey, look, like as your friend, like I completely understand this. I'm sorry this is happening. And also like as a leader, like putting on my leader hat, I have to tell you this isn't okay. Like this puts me in XYZ position. And I think at least within my group, when you come at it from that point of just like full transparency, like cards on the table, I'm not doing this to be a dick. I'm not saying this because like I want to be mean. It's just like, it's not just about me and it's not just about you. And it's not just about our friendship, right? It's bigger than that. It's about everyone. And so I think that's really worked for me. I think people have like come to understand some of the challenges that you were speaking about. I think that maybe they don't fully get it, but I think they see it, you know, and I think that helps.
for sure. I love that you use the word transparency, because I think transparency helps set expectations. So when you know, like you're saying, you know, when is good for you? Here are the dates. You can either make those dates and you're in, or you cannot make those dates and you're out. And that's and like, I wanted to go there with you because I look at the Fire Mingos and it's like, these are all friends. And it's always fun to be on a beach with friends, having a spin jam, whatever it is. But when you really are under pressure and under or in the fire, that's when that friendship really gets tested.
Mhm.
Have you had to just lay the smackdown ever, or like?
I honestly, I haven't really had to do that, or maybe I just like
Good.
haven't felt like I have. I think, another piece is that I do try really hard to sort of like develop the group. There's a lot of like intention that goes into the back end of it, just in the way that we run rehearsals and the way that we like navigate like relationships even outside of rehearsal. And I think what happens, or like what has happened with the Fire Mingos that's allowed it to be super successful, is that everyone's bought in. Like every single woman that you see in that team is like fully bought into like the vision and the project and the purpose, and they see the path. And so I think once you have a team of people who are really in it, then they're not just in it for me and they're not just in it for the art, they're in it for each other too. And so I think that's something that's helped. Have there been strange conversations and tough moments? For sure, but I haven't, fortunately, had to like be too crazy with it.
Well, that's good. I mean, just I'm here to learn about you, but for anybody listening, like I've lost friends over conclave stuff.
Hmm.
And let me tell you something, and I mean this sincerely, it's because we had a list of expectations and that other person didn't meet them. Of course, it
Hmm.
was my fault, but that other person didn't meet them. And it's, I just feel that if I was part of a group that meant something to a lot of people, I wouldn't turn around and make it on me or blame the Miches of the world. I would just try to, I mean, I know this is crazy for a flow artist to hear this, but I would just take some personal responsibility, maybe
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's important. And I think that as leaders, kind of you touched on this, but some people have different experiences being parts of groups or not being parts of groups, and that means that maybe they don't know like the ways to navigate some of that stuff. And so I think modeling it like you're doing is a really important thing too.
Absolutely. Now let's going on the positive side of things. What, if any, when you're, driving over curbs and climbing into ditches to do renegade burns, any moments of clarity that came to you or a issue that came up that seemingly was, what the heck are we going to do? And it was just like a flash in the mind and you just figured it out, much like you said, bringing together Star Wars and Alice in Wonderland when filming these elaborate. You guys, look, if you haven't watched them, go to the Fire Mingles YouTube page and just sit down and get comfortable, make popcorn. But any moments of lightning clarity that have come to you during any of this, or organizing and leading the Fire Mingos?
I mean, so locations are the hardest thing, right? You know this as a fire spinner, anywhere that you're going to go. And leading up to Wonder Force, we actually didn't have that location, or I didn't know that we were going to be able to use that location until like 3 days before. And so it was very stressful trying to find a place, but also having this like, I had this vision, I had this like really high standard of what I wanted it to look like. And I want to say it turned out way better than what I thought it was going to look like far and beyond. Um, but I was like literally reaching out to everybody in LA. I was asking people to reach out to people like, I need a location for this project. This is a big project. And I had the only other option that I had was like a parking lot, and it was really ugly. Like there was nothing that could save it aesthetically. And I literally just like stayed up all night figuring it out. I had to message people to figure out how to get into the dam, like all this stuff. And I think the clarity was really just like, if you have a vision for something, stick to the vision no matter what. Like, don't compromise it, because you're going to regret it at the end of the day. I think funny, really embarrassing story, but Natalia was actually visiting me because she was going to be in Wonder Force, and it was Natalia and Paul and me in my apartment. And the parking lot, we were talking about filming it in the parking lot. And they were like, we just got to shoot it in the parking lot, Miche. Like, we don't have another spot. Let's just call it. And, and I said, George Lucas didn't shoot Star Wars in a parking lot. Like, we can't film there. And like Natalia still brings this up to this day as just like a, whoa, your ego's like getting out of control. But which is
No,
hilarious. But
no. I
yeah,
don't.
I was like, we can't do that. And so I think just like, yeah, push through for your visions, your dreams, the things that you want to make happen, and have faith that the things that are going to work out will. And so we got really lucky. I'm really glad that I held true to the vision, and it saved the production, really.
Oh, absolutely. And for everyone listening, it's very easy um, to get to feel the extent of outside forces pushing against you to achieve whatever goal you're looking for. And I mean, it's one of the reasons I knew I wanted to talk to you, Misha. Was like, if anybody is going to say a giant fuck you, no, I'm doing it the way I see it, it's Miche Renee. So guys, I can't think of a single time in my own life where I did a big project and it just went perfect and everything was
No,
fine. It never happens, right, Mish? Never.
never, literally never.
Literally never. Um, Moving along, because we're talking fire, we're talking Fire Mingos, but I believe last year you teamed up with PyroKitten
Hmm.
to now just staying on the topic of leadership, I'm sure PyroKittens has their leader, Fire Mingles has you their leader. How did that mesh? It looked great, but like you're saying, all the stuff you don't see, that's the crazy stuff. You just see the good stuff on the screen. So how did that work with PyroKitten? Good experience, bad experience, just
Yeah.
nothing?
Yeah, it was a good experience. I was actually part of PyroKitten in 2018, I think. 2018 or 2019. So I was already familiar with the leadership with the group. I knew how they ran, and I also knew that they ran entirely differently than the Fire Mingos, which is okay. I was talking with Caitlin and Warren, and kind of what they wanted to do was start to integrate a little bit more structure into the group and to like learn from us. So it worked out well. Like we did some choreography summits with them. We talked about different ways to do leadership. Obviously, still at the end of the day, we were operating largely separately. PyroKitten did like the duet and the beginning of the show. We were like the centerpiece of the show, and then they closed out the show.
Oh,
So really, yeah, so it was nice. It allowed us to like still have our independent rehearsals. It let us still do like our vision. I had a whole vision for last year's show that I still got to do, which wouldn't have been possible to do that for 15 minutes. I don't know if you saw it, but it's like changing props every 30, 40 seconds. So,
yes.
uh, and that was a lot of fun, but not something we could have sustained without teaming up with another group.
Right. And with the Fire Mingo, so what I love about your performance is specifically, you get them ready for Burning Man conclave and things like that, but I'm sure you have other uses for them as well. When it comes to the actual choreography, what the Fire Mingles is doing is so different than what everyone is doing. You're basically, we're all doing, say, a fire show, but you guys are doing like a fire show. It's something that you can pay tickets for and be entertained. It's a story that can be followed. I'm just so blown away by it because I keep telling our conclave that I want to do more like how the Fire Mingos do things because I just see you guys as the next evolution up. So it's like you're, for me personally, my North Star. I look and I'm like, we all come out. Here's the fan group. Here's the Poyer group. Here's the Rope Dart group. But you guys come in and it's an act and you feel it. Where does this come from? I mean, where does it come from?
Yeah. So I think, figuring out the story ahead of time, but then constantly editing, and we're constantly editing like the story, the transitions, the choreography. And sometimes that's hard because we get attached to our choreo, but sometimes our choreo can be better, right? I always tell
Right.
people like nobody publishes the first draft of their book. We're not publishing the first draft of our choreo. So in addition to like all the work, there's a constant editing process happening kind of in the background, and multiple people will watch it. So basically we have a critiques date where all the leads get on a Zoom, just like you and I are talking, and we watch piece by piece and we give feedback. And I say like, look, we're all amazing. I know we're all amazing. Let's not waste time talking about how great we are. This is like a feedback place, right? So kind of setting
Right.
the tone of like, it's okay to give like, hey, this doesn't seem like it's working. How can we redo that? And then from like the performance stance, some people say like learn the routine first and then do your character work and then try to bring your face into it. I kind of feel the opposite. I feel like start from the character place, even if you're not confident in the choreography, because your face is what sells it. Like people don't necessarily remember the tricks, they remember how they feel while they're watching you. And the way that they're going to feel is going to be based on how you're emoting and how you're expressing. So yeah, and then each piece has 3 words that describe like the energy of the piece. So it could be like sassy, fun, and sexy, or sad, cinematic, drama. And then those words kind of guide the practice for that piece.
That's amazing. All of the stuff you're doing with setting things up, having meetings, scheduling, shoots, going and do the shoots, and all of you guys have like day jobs, right?
Yeah, most of us do.
How the hell does that even begin to work? Do you guys sleep at all?
I actually sleep like 9 hours a night, and I feel like if I don't, I'm like just not the best version of myself.
Right.
But yeah, I think we're just super lucky that we have a lot of people that are really, really committed to it. And we don't make any money on it. we pay for the projects ourselves. We've had some GoFundMe's, some community support, but we're not like, yeah, we're not performing live as a group. We're not really making a ton. So it's truly like people coming together for the good of the art. And I think we're so fortunate to have people that are committed to that, because it really allows you to like be so authentically invested in it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was having a conversation the other day about this, and I think that the more resistance that you guys experience as a group, not against each other, but finding locations, all that as a group, it builds a camaraderie that it's bulletproof. Because if you can be in the trenches with 20 something other people figuring things out, that when something small comes along that might throw you guys off, you probably stay pretty level headed and realize, especially being burners, it's like, I'm not, I like Burning Man, it's awesome. But one thing about it is when you're building camps in the desert with like nothing, when you come back to default world, everything is so damn simple and easy that you wonder why you ever worried about certain things like, oh, this person came late, or whatever it is. So it's I like resistance. I think that's how we build our character. And you even mentioned it before when it comes to leadership, about developing others, because leadership, bad leaders think that leadership is directing things. Good leaders know that leadership is the development of people. And it seems like your core is in the development of the person, because if you get that right, everything else kind of falls into place. Would you agree with that?
I 100% agree with that. I think that is so critical to the mission, is really like even within that group focusing on the individual development and how we develop like the communication skills and the ability to like bounce back and deal with challenges. And so much of that you can do as a leader.
Absolutely. Now, did you move to LA something 10 years ago specifically to do this, or was there another reason you went and you fell in love with
Yeah.
fire? What?
I didn't spin fire when I moved here. I actually didn't even hula hoop before I moved here. I lived here for 2 years before I started hula hooping.
Oh,
I know, isn't that crazy?
yes.
So Paul actually moved out here for school. He was in grad school at USC in their directing program, and then I got a job out here, and moved out like about a year after he moved out. So that's what brought us out here originally. And then I found hula hooping, and then I found rope dart, and then I found fire. And it's just kind of been like a full steam ahead ever since.
Heck yeah. Now, you recently were at Flame. I believe you were
Mhm.
teaching there.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, what you were teaching, how it went, just your overall experience? I've been to Flame a few times. It's a great festival, like them all. It was probably your first Flame, maybe.
It was my first flame. Yeah. So I think this is my third FAI event. I taught at Campfire in 2018, at Fire Drums in 2022, 23, 23, and then Flame last year, or Flame this year. It was so fun. I mean, just getting to connect with like the East Coast community, it was so amazing. And I feel like they have a really special event there. Like, true shout out to like the leaders there, because I loved seeing how intentional they were with like developing the event. Um, I taught 3 classes. So I taught 2 rope dart classes, an intermediate like neck spins class, and then a more advanced neck spins class. And then I also taught a class like a first time teaching creating captivating choreography. So kind of going through the process that the Fire Mingos use and giving tips and ideas and tricks for like how to integrate that into choreography creation, both for groups and individual acts.
Very cool. Will you be teaching at other festivals coming up this year?
So this year I don't have anything else coming up. I'll teach a class at Burning Man. I always teach a class at Kinetic, Andy's camp. So I will definitely be teaching there. I don't know what yet. But other than that, I'm just going to be attending some festivals this year and trying to reconnect to the magic of being a participant. Yeah.
It's so hard. I got to be honest with you, because I am not a I'm not a spectator. I'm really not a participant. And if I'm not performing or teaching or actually part of an event, I just don't go.
Hmm.
I and that's it's probably an ego thing, and I need to like chill with that. But I just everything I do in my life, from the moment I get up is geared towards the rope dart and spreading it and making it as big as I can. So I only take opportunities that will help with that mission, that will move the needle. And while festivals are fun, like you don't need to teach at a festival to have a great time. Maybe I do. And
Mhm.
it's a personality thing, and I'm not apologizing for it. Um, with festivals, is there any chance we might see you at Dart Arts?
I have a wedding that weekend and I'm so crushed. I know, I know. I actually was connecting with Cass at Flame and just like talking and hearing so much about the event. And I was like, man, this sounds so amazing. I can't wait to like check my calendar. And I have a wedding on that Saturday, the 11th.
Well, that is a very good reason to miss it for sure. But it's only getting better, so maybe in 2026.
I hope so. I was listening to some of your other shows and just hearing folks talk about it. I'm like, this is absolutely incredible. Like, such a cool thing that's happening in the dirt world.
Yeah, it's actually it kind of blows my mind because when we first started talking about it, it's like, sure, it sounds like a great idea, but can we really pull this off? And we did the first year, it was wonderful. And then last year, being 2024 was the second year, we had, not double the amount of attendees, but quite a significant amount more. Us as the organizers and leaders of it really honed in a lot of the events, the scheduling, all the different activities, and it's just going to keep getting better. And we're certainly excited. And of course, we would love to have you and a whole bunch of folks from the West Coast come out sometime.
Yeah.
Now, with performing, you definitely, you're on kind of when it comes to at least what festivals and whatnot. You're kind of on the bigger/biggest stages that are out there. Coachella, one of them, Envision Fest, which I would die. Sarah and I want to go to Envision so badly, but again, I have this thing where if I'm not performing there, I'm not going to go, and
Hmm.
that's just it. So I'm
Totally.
probably never going to go. But with all these other festivals and performing, is it? I mean, I know it's not seamless and easy. What kind of craziness is going on backstage, like seconds before you even walk out and do your thing?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you saw Sam and I's act at Envision
I
last year,
did. Very
okay,
impressive.
it
Oh,
was
yeah.
so fun. Our Moonflower Mayhem act, we have two rope darts. Each of us have two. And for each of us, one is sklittered, one is not sklittered. And it's timed out. We're a part of a show we traveled to be a part of. So we had only rehearsed with them like for the tech rehearsal. We were like, our own act.
Mhm.
So the timing of everything is really critical because of the sound and the lights and all of that. And so we're backstage and we're dipping our props and we're splittering our props and we like get like leashed up and we realize that we actually switched rope darts that like I have hers and she has mine. And we're like, like we don't have time. We have to go. So like we literally go and are rope darting with each other's darts, which they're different. They're like
Right.
different leashes, different leash sizes, and all of that. And so that was incredibly stressful. But I actually feel like we each got to like harness the energy of the other, like through
Heck
the
yeah.
dart. And so like the video of that, like the very beginning of our show, I'm like, damn, that was so good. And I was using Sam's dart and she was using mine. So things happen and then you just got to roll with it. That's the number one thing is like, just same thing with fire safety, right? Like don't freak out, just keep going.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that performance was awesome. And we're seeing a lot of we call it Dartner, partner dart stuff happening nowadays. But really, when that came out, that was the first time we're seeing it on fire, on a stage, at a festival, and it looked amazing. And
Yeah, it's fun to watch the videos back. You can hear people like screaming in the crowd. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah. And obviously nobody would ever know that you guys had each other's rope dart. So it really
Mhm.
just came out perfectly. And then you and Sam teamed up with Adam Bush and you did like the rope dart army video, which
Yes,
again
the
was
little
just,
triad.
yeah, no, it was magic. How did that come across? Because I'm just loving the Dartner stuff we're seeing. And it's really dartists like you, Adam, Sam. Sarah's actually amazing at rope dart choreography. And once we have a new baby now, and once we get all that figured out and settled in, we're going to just start hitting the Dartner stuff hard because we're getting inspired by you guys.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think, when I first started spinning fire and when I first started in conclaves and stuff, you wouldn't see a lot of group choreo with rope dart or like even partner stuff with rope dart. People would say like, oh, it's really hard to sync those up. Like it's really hard to make them look good. And it is. Like it is
Yeah,
harder, right? Like
it is. Yes.
maybe like a static prop, like because
Yes.
there's different factors, right? There's like your wingspan is longer than my wingspan. So the amount of time for me to pull back my shot might be a little bit different. You're a lot stronger than me, like all of these things, not to even account for like, trying to get your lines straight and everyone's line straight. It is harder. And that's not a reason to not do something. I think just because something is harder presents challenges, not shying away from that. And Sam's been instrumental in that. I mean, she's she's the one that pulled me in for the Moonflower Mayhem project. She pulled me and Adam in for the little rope dart triad thing. And we've learned a lot about like ways to choreograph rope dart and things that help just over the years. That's been pretty cool too.
For sure. And I know just going with what you're saying with rope dart for anybody watching, because I know by now you've already subscribed to the Fire Mingos YouTube channel. How could you not? But you'll notice that one of their pieces is called Chrysalis, and it was, I believe, 5 of you,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fans.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking at it, and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But yeah, there's something to that static prop that when it comes to, look, 1, 2, 3, out, kind of a thing with rope dart. Like Miche said, look, the rope is going to be different lengths. That's something I never even considered. And I like to choreograph rope dart stuff, but it's like, yeah, the rope is going to be longer. Somebody might pull it back stronger. Somebody's taller. And it's not shying away from that, all of these challenges. And that's really the take-home message that I want to make sure you heard from Miche, is that you can't shy away from it. And when you get to a point like Miche is at, where you kind of done a lot of stuff with a rope dart or fire or anything, it's kind of a place I'm at now. I only look for challenging things. I only look for the impossible. Nobody's done it. This is crazy. Don't be stupid. I jump on that stuff because, oh, look, competing, performing, flow, like we've done all that. We've done it 100 times. And do you have anything that you could talk about? Because you're an artist, and I know we stay very quiet. But do you have anything coming up that is a little bit more that is that challenge for you?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I love, I didn't grow up a dancer, but I always like admired like movement arts and dancing. And so really thinking about how can we incorporate different dance styles into like flow, into props, into rope dart. So right now I'm working on a jazz piece. So that's all I'll say. But yeah, so integrating a little bit of jazz.
That's super cool. Yeah, because the Fire Mingles also, because I know you're all going to be on their YouTube page now. They also did it was like a Backstreet Boys with palm torches,
Yeah.
and super cool. I would love to see a piece like that, all rope dart, obviously, because that's where my head goes. But jazz sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where would you like to see the rope dart go? You're kind of, again, and I'm saying this, just as a fan and a friend, you're really somebody out there that's pushing this stuff in front of everybody's face,
Mm-hmm.
which I love. That's good. It's where it should be happening. Where do you see the rope dart going? And is it somewhere that you're going to take it, or you hope somebody else picks up the reins and brings it over here?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think, I admire so many different artists and everybody has kind of like their different flavor on it. My favorite thing when I'm spinning is like feeling really connected to the music and the sound and like moving with it. And something that I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with, like how to not just do my tricks and the tech, but how to like really emote the music and the sound and the lyrics through the movement. So that's something that I want to see more of, and I hope that that happens along the same like trajectory as like everyone developing the tech and coming up with new things and new tricks and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm going to be the person to take it there, but I'm excited to see whoever does, and I'm excited to see it just kind of continue growing. I think like since I've started, I've seen it grow so much, not just like in numbers, but in like what we thought was possible. There's so many people creating new tricks and things every day, and I just like I hope that momentum keeps going.
For sure. And yeah, coming out with new tricks every day, I'm finding it difficult nowadays to keep up. You know, I mean that sincerely.
Yeah.
I'm just like, guys, like I only have so much time in a day.
Yeah.
And it's really inspirational artists that are really keeping me going because, you know, it's hard to always motivate myself to go outside or go to the park. Once I'm there, I'm fine. Once I'm at the place with my rope dart, everything is good. But you know, sometimes walking a mile to get to the park, I don't want to do that
Yeah.
necessarily. So, you know, it's the artists out there like you that I watch what you're doing, and it's like, look, if Miche can do a 15-hour video shoot, I could take a 5-minute walk to a park, you know? So you inspire others perhaps in ways you might not even realize.
Thanks. Thank you.
With that inspiration, do you have a message for a rope dart? Is something you want them to know or something you wish you knew a long time ago? Even if it's not information for a beginner, if it's for anybody, if you had something the rope dart world should know from the Fire Queen herself.
I think just bringing it back to something I talked about in the beginning of the show, which is just that like rope dart can really make you feel powerful in ways you might not always feel powerful, and to like take that and harness that and allow that to kind of guide you, because I think that the personal development that comes with it is underrated. You know, you just see this like epic person looking so cool with their fire or with their dart, but not taking for granted like how much integration that can have into your person and how it can really help you overcome challenges.
Definitely. And not only just the practice, I want to piggyback off that because what you said is so important. It's not even just the practice of rope dart that's going to develop you. It's those challenges, like Miche said, realizing you have the wrong rope dart on at the last second and going anyway. Like when you have no choice and you have to do it, that's where the personal development comes into play because now you've actually stepped out of the box. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Miche has performed before on stage in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people. But I'm willing to bet that was the first time she realized beforehand that she had the wrong rope dart. And can you imagine mentally what kind, like where that would take you? I would kind of flip out for a second, be like, and then realize that no, this is the challenge you wanted, Frank. Now you got to go do this thing.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
For real. Now, I like to end because that went pretty quickly. We're almost out of time here. I just want to end with a question I ask everybody, and that is, if you had the opportunity to train with one rope artist for a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, only one, who would that rope artist be, and what would the reason be for training with them?
It's so hard. I want to, man, I really want to give you two, but I already know that you're not going to let me give you two.
No.
So I'm going to say Aaron Stanger, in Australia. I just think I got to meet him very like quickly at Fire Drums. Such a nice guy. I'm loving the crowd pleaser, all that stuff. And I just think that he's such a cool dude, loves rope dart, and I would love to spend some time training with him and learning.
Yeah, great answer. You know, he's now stayed at Dart House twice, and everything you just said about him is true. That dude loves the rope dart. I mean, like he reminds me of me in the sense that it's like, what do you want to do? Let's go rope dart. What do you want to do? Let's go rope dart. That's all he wants to do. So we get along like peas and carrots, really. And his tech is sick, and he's taught me a lot. Meaning that he's just a really great teacher, and he can communicate the information for very technical things very, very well. Heck yeah. And are you going to Fire Drums this year?
I am tentative on Fire Drums this year, but honestly, it's so close, I'll probably end up driving up. It'd be hard to not go.
Please go. I'm going to be going. I'd
You're
love to see
going?
you. I am.
Oh, more motivation. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, if I could, maybe that'll just do it because now you
Yeah.
just told all of YouTube that you might
Oh,
go.
me
So
too.
maybe that's the pressure that we needed right now.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, before we go, any last message you want to say, even though we kind of went over that, but anything else? You just have so much, and I'm already super excited with everything you spoke about because I think a lot of folks don't get it when it comes to what it takes to be great. And you're great. You know, I
Mhm.
feel that way in my heart. You're a great person. because of what you're doing and who you are with what you're doing. So
Yeah.
anything else you want to say before we go?
Oh, I really appreciate that, Frank. I think just lead with authenticity and transparency. You know, like be the person that you are authentically, and I feel like I do think that that's like helped me be so successful. It's I've been so fortunate to be working with such amazing people. But I think that like attracts like, and that just kind of helps you continue to drive on. So
Those are some golden nuggets for you artists out there. It really is. And, I kind of knew it. That's why I wanted to talk to Miche. Well, it was a pleasure. You're a total rope dart stud. And I am so looking forward to this jazz thing that's going to happen, because obviously Sarah and I are total fans of you and the Fire Mingos. And any way we can ever support you, we always will.
thank you. Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you for bringing your art and your rope dart to all of us. For everyone else, thanks again for watching. As always, peace, love, dart life.